This could mean that we shouldn't view Parkinson's disease as just a problem of the brain. If we trace back to why this loss of nerve cells occurs, we find that such symptoms are not only seen in Parkinson's disease, but are even more commonly observed in Alzheimer's disease or cerebrovascular disorders. In the previous video, I explained that problems with the function of certain autonomic nerves can precede the onset of Parkinson's disease by about 5 to 10 years. In recent years, more and more experts have come to view Parkinson's disease not simply as a disorder confined to the brain, but as a systemic disease affecting the whole body. This does not mean that Parkinson's disease is not a degenerative central nervous system disorder. Rather, it suggests that we should not view Parkinson's disease solely as a problem of the brain. The organs that these experts are focusing on are the digestive system and the autonomic nervous system. In fact, there are many studies showing that alpha-synuclein, the pathological protein of Parkinson's disease, is found in the digestive system and the autonomic nervous system. Let me briefly explain alpha-synuclein here, as the term might sound a bit difficult. It is a protein present in the human brain that is involved in the process of neurotransmitter secretion. This protein also acts to protect brain cells when the brain is deprived of oxygen or in situations of excitement. However, when stressful situations persist, this protein is excessively expressed in an attempt to protect brain cells, causing it to clump together and actually become a toxic protein, which then damages nerve cells. As a result, this series of events can lead to the development of degenerative neurological diseases. Let me briefly introduce some studies that support the claims of experts who argue that Parkinson's disease may be a type of systemic disease and that the gastrointestinal tract or autonomic nervous system are particularly important organs involved. In 2014, a study from Lund University in Sweden reported that when alpha-synuclein from Parkinson's disease patients was injected into a non-human model, it was observed that the alpha-synuclein traveled along the vagus nerve distributed in the gut and reached the vagus nerve in the brainstem region. And in 2017, a related paper was also published in a renowned journal called Neurology. Duodenal ulcers can be treated with medication, but if medication does not work, there is a surgical treatment option. That surgical treatment for duodenal ulcers is called vagotomy. They concluded that this vagotomy has a preventive effect against Parkinson's disease. An analysis was conducted on the data of 9,430 patients who underwent vagotomy for the treatment of duodenal ulcers between 1970 and 2010, and about 370,000 people who did not undergo vagotomy. It was found that the group who received vagotomy had about a 22% lower risk of developing Parkinson's disease. In addition, there are numerous studies and papers suggesting that the vagus nerve, a cranial nerve located in the gastrointestinal tract, is involved and that gastrointestinal problems can trigger Parkinson's disease. Recently, the British daily newspaper The Guardian published a research finding on the relationship between Parkinson's disease and gastrointestinal issues. These researchers analyzed patients in the United States with Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's disease, and cerebrovascular disorders. They selected and compared approximately 20,000 individuals for the study. According to this study, if the stomach is paralyzed and doesn't function well, if there are problems or difficulties with swallowing, or if there is constipation, the likelihood of developing Parkinson's disease nearly doubles. Additionally, if someone has irritable bowel syndrome, their risk of developing Parkinson's disease is about 17% higher. In fact, for patients with Parkinson's disease, it takes about an hour for half of the food in the stomach to pass into the duodenum. For healthy individuals, it takes about 40 minutes. There are also many reports that it takes much longer in Parkinson's patients. However, these symptoms are not only seen in Parkinson's disease, but are also more commonly observed in Alzheimer's disease and cerebrovascular disorders. Additionally, it has been reported that intestinal problems such as inflammatory bowel disease do not appear to increase the risk of developing Parkinson's disease. Interestingly, there have also been results showing that patients who had their appendix removed had a lower risk of developing Parkinson's disease. This research team pointed out that, while it is relatively well known that constipation can be a prodromal symptom of Parkinson's disease, the significance of this study lies in revealing that gastroparesis, swallowing disorders, and irritable bowel syndrome, conditions where the digestive tract does not function properly, can also serve as concrete evidence for predicting the onset of Parkinson's disease. That is what they are saying. The topic of this video is the fact that Parkinson's disease, which has been considered a degenerative brain disorder, may not simply be a problem of the brain itself. There is no doubt that the loss of dopamine-producing nerve cells in the substantia nigra of the brainstem is the cause of Parkinson's disease. However, if we trace back to find out why this loss of nerve cells occurs, some experts in the medical field have recently argued that the organ and nervous system with the greatest contribution to this cause may actually be the gastrointestinal tract and its nervous system. And in fact, many studies and papers supporting this claim have also been published. For those of you watching our channel because you're interested in the autonomic nervous system, I hope this video serves as an opportunity to consider the theory, hypothesis, or argument that Parkinson's disease, as I mentioned, may not be solely a problem of the brain itself, but could also be a symptom originating from issues in the gastrointestinal tract.